you ought to be suffering. You ought to be questioning your self-esteem at this point. This is a very good time to do it. And you oughtn't
for like a decade.
Yeah. And you oughtn't like medicalize it away. And the state maybe shouldn't help you too easily medicalize away whatever you're feeling in that situation. But I was always struck by that story because I thought how few adults, I always say this, there are so few adults in the room these days. But there are so few adults who will stand over the life of anyone and say, I'm sorry, Bucko, but it's you. And I had this...
it's so funny because one of the reasons that my lectures have become popular is because I have done that for young men, right? And suggest to them, well, if you're miserable, it's possible it's because you're useless and you're not doing what you should be doing. And you could think perversely and should think likely that why in the world would that possibly be a saleable message? And the answer is, well, if the person that you're addressing is genuinely miserable and hopeless, and you say, well, maybe there's something that you're not doing quite right, then they now have an avenue of movement forward, right? And if you say instead, well, it's no wonder you're miserable because the cosmos and the patriarchy are structured such that you're a victim of circumstance without recourse.
I had this recently. I was on a program the other day where there was a Black British woman on who claimed to have suffered hurt from slavery, and I'm fed up with that claim now. I said, "You've not suffered anything. You haven't suffered any hurt, and no one alive has caused you the hurt." Now, of course, a lot of people would say, "Who are you to say that? You're just another privileged white guy or something." But I actually think it's necessary to say that to people because, actually, as Clarence Thomas points out in his recent Supreme Court judgment on affirmative action, if you don't get that out of the way, the rest of history is going to be a competitive grievance competition. And so you actually need people to say, no, I'm not falling for this. You may have fallen for it. You may have decided that everything in your life would be sorted out if reparations were paid to you by the state of California. I'm not convinced that would help you. I think you'd have a fantastic shopping binge for a few days and be as unpleasant and unhappy a week from Tuesday as you are today. And